What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the SmackDown Post Show. It's your boy Ango. This is the Ango Show live. And wow, what an episode of WWE SmackDown. For all of you who watch WWE SmackDown, then you saw WWE completely flip the script on us. Completely different from WWE Raw. So on this show, we're going to talk about the event in general, but my post shows are different than everybody else's because I'm not just going to sit here match by match and segment by segment. That's no fun. What we're going to do is we're going to be interactive. So we're going to go and talk in the chat and we're going to throw our hot takes. We're going to drop some gems in this thing. We're going to communicate back and forth and we're going to have a good time doing it. Guys, thank you for spending some time with me. If you guys could just go ahead and drop kick that like button, I'd greatly appreciate it. SmackDown after WrestleMania, absolutely so much better than you could have ever imagined compared to Monday Night Raw. And yes, Triple H came out tonight. He dropped the big announcement. WWE has officially announced the draft, which shout out to them. For those who don't know, just a little bit of like a nice little tidbit here. Worked Wrestling on Twitter already confirmed that WWE's plan is for the draft to be on May 8th, which, by the way, is taking place in Jacksonville, Florida. So I don't know if there's significance there. I don't know if this is a WWE doing a middle finger to AEW, but obviously Jacksonville is the home of AEW, and that's when WWE is planning to do the draft. Triple H says it's going to be a game changer. Just a couple things that I've heard. Specifically, I know some other people are talking about it now. I know quite a few fans are also speculating this, so this should be very interesting if it does in fact come true. But the thing is, WWE wants to introduce new belts. Triple H says it's going to be game changing. I think if you put two and two together, it sounds like WWE very well could be revealing new championship belts at the draft, or perhaps maybe Roman Reigns gets, the titles vacated or one of the titles being vacated. But it sounds like the draft is going to be very, very big this year. And as you can imagine, that is very exciting. I watched WWE Raw this past week. And if you guys saw my post show, we had over 800 people watching. I was not too thrilled with that. I wasn't too thrilled with the show. And then today it was revealed that Vince McMahon was managing the show. Vince McMahon was managing the show from a distance. But Triple H was the one on the headset calling the shots. And it was very evident this entire night. I mean, the show started off with a 6-man tag with Sheamus and the Brawling Brutes defeating Imperium. Great match. Absolutely awesome. I think they wrestled for about 20 minutes or so. Really, really good stuff there. But the best part about that specific match was the fact that they just got to do their own thing. And Michael Cole and Wade Barrett absolutely on fire tonight with commentary. But this was just such a great opener. It just definitely showed fans like, hey, whatever happened Monday, hopefully we don't let it happen again, because this was really good. I'm super curious to see what WWE does with Imperium and Sheamus and the Brawling Brutes, because I think there's a lot of things that could be done, and we're going to talk about that a little bit tonight. But you could just tell the pace of the show, everything. I mean, literally Ricochet defeated Ivar from the Viking Raiders, and these guys went at it. I mean, this was like a really, really good match. These guys got to wrestle back and forth, just showcasing some really cool things. So you could just tell if it's Vince McMahon or Triple H. I don't think it really matters. Tonight's show felt like a very, very big deal, and that to me is very, very exciting. And, personally speaking, when it comes to WWE and it comes to going forward, they just got to keep doing what they're doing tonight. You know, one of my really good friends who he likes every company, you know what I mean? He's just like me. He likes AEW, he likes WWE. And, one of our big complaints Monday was that the crowd, it was not a good crowd. If you guys watched SmackDown tonight and you heard the crowd boo the living shit out of Dominic Mysterio, that is what we expect from WWE. Now, I'm not going to sit here and act like SmackDown was absolutely incredibly perfect, but it was a very, very good show, especially in comparison to WWE Raw, which obviously isn't that hard to do. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is the crowd was a difference maker. The crowd tonight definitely seemed like they wanted to be there. And we'll talk about those Fire Vince chants that never happened, because there is going to be, I have a hot take. And my hot take might be a hated hot take, but I'll get to that in just a second. I want to do some shout outs really quick. Shout out to Todd Crow. Shout out to Cedric Gilmer. Shout out to all of our VIP members in the chat, Justin Kennington, and so many of you guys coming through. I appreciate it. Also, Grover Cleveland. Grover, that sounds like a new name. I haven't seen you in the chat before, so shout out to you. Thank you for stopping by, and thank you for becoming a member. Actually, Grover made a really good point too. I like when all companies are doing well. It's what's best for wrestling. And it is. And, the thing is, I think that's what's funny about social media. Social media was a really, social media would have had you convinced that WWE was dead and buried, but the reality is that's not the truth. That's not the truth. And shout out to WWE and shout out to AEW because you'll see firsthand how WWE and AEW put on their shows, and then you'll see how social media reacts. And the thing is, social media is so worried. I don't know what this is, man. I don't get this idea. I don't get this idea that as a fan, if I'm miserable, I gotta have you become miserable too. But that's wrestling fans in a nutshell. And look, I'm not saying this is going to be perfect moving forward. As I've stated earlier, I don't really give a shit if it's Vince running the show. I don't give a shit if it's Triple H running the show. But what I will tell you is this. I don't really give a rat's ass what Twitter has to tell me. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter, they want to drag every wrestling fan in the mud, but ultimately, who gives a fuck? AEW had a great episode this week. WWE had a shitty episode of Raw, but an incredible episode of SmackDown. So the thing is, why are we sitting here being miserable ourselves and then trying to make other people miserable as well? I don't get it. And there's a lot of people I know specifically that I follow or people that I talk to that said, I'm never watching WWE again. This is garbage. And then the thing is, they're texting me tonight, oh my God, this episode of SmackDown's awesome. Now, the thing is, I'm glad that he thought SmackDown was awesome. But I will tell you this. It's easy to get groped into this little bubble where everything is negative and then to feel negative. And it's stupid as hell. It is so stupid when I see social media talk like this and act like this. I saw AEW, and I don't want to talk about AEW tonight, but I didn't do a review of Dynamite for no other reason than I chose to prioritize something else other than AEW. I came back and watched it on DVR, and that makes it now 9 episodes in a row where I thought AEW Dynamite was really good. But I see people on Twitter trying to drag AEW down. AEW's not going to sell 90,000 seats to the stadium. Guys, please cut this out. Please. Triple H don't give a rat's ass about you. Vince McMahon don't give a rat's ass about you. And Tony Khan don't give a rat's ass about you. That's just the reality. The reality is they got businesses to run. They're not here to book for Twitter. You could sit there and be outraged. You can... Fire Vince was trending every single day. And today, WWE delivered a great episode of SmackDown. And now I got people sitting there on Twitter, sitting here, acting as if they were never calling for WWE's death. People, this is ridiculous. It is so ridiculous. Shout out to Swift718. Swift says, I refuse to watch WWE now with Vince, but I'll listen to your coverage because you've shown great perspective. And this is a good example. Some people just genuinely don't want to watch WWE under Vince McMahon. And guess what? I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that. Is Vince McMahon calling the shots? I'm going to tell you guys what I think is going down. But I don't think Vince is truly calling all the shots. I think tonight was a good indication that Triple H is definitely involved. And I think Triple H and Vince McMahon are both definitely involved. But we're going to talk about it a little bit more in a bit. We did get a super chat from Barker. Barker Lewis Can't Chew. Shout out to you for the $4.99 super chat. I was at ROH NXT in both nights of WrestleMania. I was emotionally exhausted after that. Maybe that's what happened with the crowd and the crew for Raw. That could very well be the case. That could very, very well be the case because truth be told, I talked about it on my stream Monday and I said, man, maybe I'm just fatigued. Especially me, coverage every single day, videos every single day. And then I was staying up until very late because Impact had a show that was late and GCW had shows that were late. And there were so many shows that were going on late. And I wasn't even in Los Angeles, but I definitely felt fatigued. The crowd tonight on SmackDown was definitely not fatigued. Barker, thank you so much for the $4.99 super chat. Guys, if you want to drop a super chat, it completely supports the show. I take all of that money and reinvest it into the show, which, by the way, we are working on building a live studio show. That's been in the works for a while, so keep that in mind. I love that Matt Riddle saved its storytelling. So basically the whole thing, I see what you're saying in the chat. Matt Riddle came out to save Sami Zayn when Jey Uso attacked him. Now, I don't like Matt Riddle. Personally speaking, I think he's a good talent. There's just things about Matt Riddle as a talent, like gimmick-wise, I just don't care for anymore. I feel like it's kind of been boring. But he did come out tonight to save Sami Zayn, and I did think that was a good idea. I like that Matt Riddle is getting involved with them because from a storyline perspective, if you remember the callback, there is a callback. There is a little bit of significance with Riddle getting, beaten the hell up out of the Bloodline. So I like the fact that they're actually sticking to that and they're not being stupid. guys, if this is Vince McMahon or Triple H, I don't give a shit. It's just a callback, and that's important. It's a good callback. He's back in the company. Whether you like him or hate him, WWE is sticking to the story. The Bloodline took him out. Now he's back to save him. So I'm guessing, in my opinion, at Backlash, it's going to be Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and Matt Riddle versus Solo Sikoa and the Usos. The Bloodline story obviously continues to be a really big story for WWE, and that to me is money. I don't think there's a way you can go wrong. I don't think you could go wrong with that whatsoever. Just checking out the chat, so make sure you guys are, still chatting in the chat. You know what I mean? I'm going to pick random comments, random tweets, random everything. So if you guys are on Twitter as well, use the hashtag TASLive. I definitely appreciate that. Grover says, is it better to... Hold on. Oh, sorry. The chat's moving so quickly. Is it better for numbers to have a better show on cable or regular TV? Also, the crowd was rowdy and amazing during that Dominic segment. Yeah, I mean, as far as ratings and things like that, I'm not going to talk about it. I think it's silly. I think everybody's using that as a measuring stick for success, and that's just not the case. At the end of the day, the only statistic that matters is the bottom dollar. WWE, AEW. If you think AEW loves you, if they're doing something that's not making them money, they don't love you that much. Trust me, they're going to change their tune real quick. That's the same thing with WWE. So just kind of keep that in mind. WWE and AEW, the only metric that matters to them is their profit and their losses. And ultimately, that's what you're looking at. Cedric Gilmer dropping a $4.99 super chat. Yo, Ango, with 5 exclamation points. Maybe 4. I can't tell. It's pretty small. Shout out to Cedric. He's our moderator. He's one of our moderators and one of our VIP members on the channel. Appreciate you, Cedric. Cedric is coming to SummerSlam in Detroit. I'll be there. So, guys, if you're going to be in Detroit for SummerSlam, you need to hit me up because we're planning something massive. And word already got out in Discord about a potential event that I might be throwing. So y'all think I'm not a good booker, come to SummerSlam and find out, right? More details on that later. Shout out to Cedric for the super chat. Appreciate it. Michael says a really good chat. He says, where is Wyatt? There was no teases of Bray Wyatt tonight. This is one of those things where I'm confused. Is he injured? What's the issue with Bray Wyatt? And unfortunately, we just don't really have an answer for that. No mention of Bray Wyatt tonight. No mention of Bray Wyatt for WrestleMania. We did get a segment with LA Knight busting open a PlayStation 5 controller, which poor LA Knight, he was complaining about not being at WrestleMania, only to find out Xavier Woods was promoting the game at Mania, which I thought was logical. I mean, it's a good point, right? And then he takes the PlayStation 5 controller and beats the fuck out of it. So obviously, with that, I'm going to say LA Knight throwing a hissy fit, throwing the controller is great. Does he know those controllers cost $70-$80? I don't know if LA Knight knows that, but WWE just got bought out by Endeavor. So instead of doing roster cuts, how about we just don't break PlayStation 5 controllers? Obviously, some people won't sense the sarcasm there. So yeah, just obviously I'm having fun. We got a super chat from Main Event Fro for $3. He says, hit that like button. I agree with this. We have almost 400 people watching live. Guys, these live streams have been so incredibly fun. Please don't get mad if I don't read your chat. I'm trying to read everything. My shows are all about interactivity. So if I don't miss your message, maybe post it again. Don't spam the chat, but post it again. I'll try to get to it. I'll definitely, everybody knows when I go live, I like to interact, and I've been doing them a lot longer than normal too. Sometimes we live stream for an hour or two, maybe 3 hours. Last week we were doing some great stuff. Shout out to Main Event Fro for the super chat. Appreciate it. I'm sorry if I pronounce this wrong. Amir Riza Mahajer. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Amir Riza. I am so happy Shinsuke is back. WWE announced that Shinsuke Nakamura is back next week on SmackDown. I'm shocked that they did this on SmackDown because we did a video on this and we talked about Shinsuke coming back, but I didn't know WWE was really going to do it before the draft. We knew that there was rumors that he could be back tonight. We knew there was rumors that it could be next week. There was rumors that he might be on Raw. I thought they were just going to wait for the draft to do it. Cameron Grimes, Braun Breaker, Shinsuke Nakamura. There's just so many names right now. I'm so curious to see what happens with the draft. Triple H did make it clear, though, tonight that the draft is going to be a game changer and every single superstar is eligible. So that to me is exciting. I can't wait to see what happens there. And truth be told, guys, if I'm being honest with you, Shinsuke being back, for some reason, I hope I'm right. I just hope Shinsuke gets a serious push. It doesn't have to be anything too crazy, but I like Shinsuke Nakamura. I always felt like he could have been booked a little bit better. We'll see what happens. We got another super chat from Coach Prostageist. He's dropping a $9.99 super chat. Hey, what's up, Ango? Heard Logan Paul signed a new contract. Could it mean we see him more often? He's made hints he's wanting to potentially be full-time. What are your thoughts? Yeah, so I actually made a video on this. So I spoke about Logan Paul signing with WWE again. For me personally, I think Logan Paul is a hell of a talent. Whether you like him or hate him on a personal level or professional level, that's up to you. But I do believe that Logan Paul deserves to be in the WWE. And I'm not saying this as a shot to AEW or WWE or Impact, but there are guys who have been in the business for 19 years, 15 years, and then there's a guy like Logan Paul who has not had that experience, and Logan Paul gets into the WWE and absolutely kills it. Now, obviously, Logan Paul is given a lot of help, and he's working with some very notable names to get there, so it's obviously not something that Logan Paul has done by himself, and I'm not trying to discredit anybody for that reason, but it is true. Logan Paul is a hell of a wrestler, and most importantly, he's a really good entertainer. He's understanding the gimmick. He's understanding timing. He's understanding a lot of things that make him unique. And I want to see Logan Paul more often. Do I think he should be full-time? I think in certain ways, I don't think so. I think right now he's an attraction. However, if Logan Paul is going to be doing WWE full-time, I don't want to see Logan Paul doing boxing. I don't want to see anything like that. I want to see Logan Paul climb the ranks. You know what I mean? I want to see him in storylines. Right now, you got to get the big storylines out of the way, right? The Seth Rollins, the John Cena stuff. Do that with Logan Paul. But it wouldn't be a bad idea for Logan Paul at some point, it wouldn't be a bad idea for Logan Paul to go for a mid-card title and actually win it. You know, I would utilize his name value, and then, you know, you can have him drop the title. I understand a lot of people will dislike that, and that's fine. I'm specifically speaking for business purposes. Logan Paul having a championship of some capacity, being involved in WWE in a full-time role, can actually benefit a lot of guys. For example, Ricochet having that spot with Logan Paul, a lot of people who don't watch wrestling but watch Logan Paul then got invested in Ricochet. Do you think that maybe WWE is trying to capitalize off of that? You know, Ricochet having big matches, Ricochet winning against Ivar, you know, just things like that. I definitely think there is some sort of significance behind it. Thank you, Coach, for the $9.99 super chat. Appreciate it. Chester says Bray is sick and he's got an illness. Yeah, I mean, there's no details that I've heard, so I don't want to speculate too much on the whole Bray Wyatt personal health stuff. But I do miss Bray Wyatt, and I thought Michael brought up a valid point of asking where he is. I don't know where he is. I like Bray Wyatt. I think they got to get things right with him. But it's weird that we went from having Uncle Howdy and Bray Wyatt every single week to now we don't see it every single week. I do find that to be kind of odd, and I do question that. Yeah, a lot of great things, guys, in the chat. Todd Crow says, Ango, WWE is coming to Detroit for a stadium show. Are you going? Yeah, I mentioned it earlier. I will definitely be there. Regardless if Vince or Triple H is running it, I will be there. Also, I have some news for the night before, but I can't talk about that just yet. But yeah, Eddie says, Ango, I think that they should ban Solo Sikoa from ringside at the stadium for interfering into the match. I agree with you 100%. There's a lot of significance to Solo Sikoa always saving Roman Reigns, and that is why I really enjoy the storytelling aspect. Miggy Sato says, NXT and SmackDown were good this week. I agree. Raw wasn't. Raw wasn't good. SmackDown was. NXT was. So what's going on? Who's running it? Is it Triple H? Is it Vince? I have a very interesting theory, and again, I'll talk about that in just a minute. We're going through the chat. A lot of people are out here. So Nate says, what's up, Ango? I didn't watch SmackDown, but I was out with friends. Yeah, totally understandable. You missed a great show. That's for sure. Shockingly. Drew says, hey, Ango, do you think WWE should bring back GMs? I love this question. Do I think WWE should bring back GMs? No. I think Adam Pearce is a really, really good agent. I think he's a really good leader backstage. I think what they have him doing on screen is great, and I don't think it's too invasive. You ever see how Tony Khan is on TV for AEW? It's not invasive. You know, he's there when you got to make some sense out of it, and that's pretty much it. And that's kind of how it is with Adam Pearce. He's there to just tidy up some loose ends. If you want to have somebody do that for SmackDown and Raw, you can. But I think the idea of bringing back GMs, the only way I would do it is if you're 100% firm on doing the brand split. And I don't know if WWE is truly, I just don't know if they're truly that invested into it, if that makes sense. So the brand split's tough. It's tough. But I'm excited to see that the draft is coming back. And I'm excited to see what they do. Again, it's gonna be on in Jacksonville, Florida. So Triple H, very, very, very cool for Triple H to announce that. By the way, Michael Cole did say on commentary that Triple H runs this place. So I don't know. That's kind of what I want to talk about. I thought that was very significant. Michael Cole saying that Triple H is the guy who is running the place on commentary, to me, seemed like a very significant move. And I think Michael Cole did that for a variety of reasons. But ultimately, is Triple H really running the show? Now, here's what I think has happened now that I've had some more time to think about it. And there's a lot of great things in the chat, and I promise you guys I'll read it. I see you guys tagging me in the chat. Let me get to that in a second. But really quick, WWE announced that Triple H was coming out to kick off the show with an announcement. They didn't have him kick it off. I'm sorry. He came out during the middle of the show around 8:55 or so, announced that WWE is bringing back the draft, just getting people excited. He's talking about the success from WrestleMania, all this stuff. He says the draft is going to be game-changing. So to me, that is clearly the date that they're going to have a very big reset in the WWE. My belief is that when Vince McMahon was away from WWE, and this is a conspiracy, this is me being wishful thinking, this is me trying to be optimistic, this is me trying to be realistic. I believe that Vince McMahon was always involved with WWE's program. Obviously, you can tell when you watch Raw and SmackDown, there was a clear Vince McMahon influence on WWE television. What we saw this past Monday was not influence. That was completely taken over. Tonight, you can see some of that Vince McMahon influence, but Triple H was letting people wrestle. The show was great. People were wrestling. Everybody was being used. I mean, it was a really solid episode. My belief, and I could be wrong here, but my belief is that WWE, and this is where it gets interesting. My belief is that Triple H and Vince McMahon were always involved in creative, even when Vince McMahon was gone. My belief is that Vince McMahon probably had some sort of remote access to the show, to the producers, and when it was necessary, Vince McMahon would be involved. What that means, though, is that WWE, because of that method of doing things, Vince McMahon couldn't really change things on the fly in the middle of a segment or in the middle of the match. So if that is true, and again, this is like a little conspiracy, but if that is true, if Vince McMahon was always involved with Triple H, but he wasn't backstage, and today was the same exact thing, I'm okay with that. I don't think people understand, right? And this is where social media becomes dumb, and I will continue to bury social media. I will continue to bury Twitter, because y'all people on Twitter who have this agenda for pro WWE or pro AEW, you look stupid right now. That's just the truth. And here's the thing, right? If Vince McMahon has influence in creative, I don't think that's an issue. But if Vince McMahon is one of those guys who is running the entire god dang show, changing the script 7 times, not like you can make some minor changes, that's fine, that's normal. To me, changing minor changes, okay. To rewrite things as the show is going on, to change things as the show is going on, to change things 5 minutes before the show, pulling people off of TV, changing the creative direction of things, making stupid calls. If that is in fact true, I don't want Vince McMahon involved. But if Vince McMahon is working remotely with Triple H, they have a plan, maybe some minor changes here and there, and then they let Triple H direct the show, you're going to keep getting good episodes like this. If you don't see that, if Vince McMahon is micromanaging everything from Gorilla, then you're going to see what we got Monday night. So my belief is that Triple H and Vince McMahon have always been working together creatively. I just think Triple H was running it from the actual Gorilla position. I think Vince McMahon was running it remotely. I think they were in communication constantly. I think that should be the way to do it. There's no issue with Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon understands business, so whether you guys want to admit this or not, he is very, very smart business-wise. Triple H is very smart creatively. I think if you focus on expanding the NXT brand and the globalization, you have Vince running no creative aspect of WWE, right? If you have Triple H running it and Vince McMahon just giving some input here and there, I think that's a recipe for success. I really do. And I do believe there was a little bit of significance with Michael Cole saying that Triple H is running the show. I think WWE knows that they have to deliver a good product. And the only way you could deliver a good product these days is if you listen to your audience. I'm sorry, but you can't listen to Twitter. Twitter is not a good indicator. If WWE, this is the reality, right? And I'm gonna be real with you guys. I'm gonna be real. If WWE were to listen to everything I ever said and book their entire show based on what my opinion was, which by the way, this is unrealistic. right? But just hypothetically speaking, if WWE was like, I just watched an Ango video, right? Shame on WWE. Shame on WWE. I might back my opinions up with some facts here and there, but ultimately, I'm just giving you guys my perspective from my scope of things. So WWE would be foolish to be like, well, Ango said this is a good idea, let's just do it, right? But if I was presenting an idea and 20,000 people said, hey, this is really good, maybe it would make more sense for WWE to listen. Maybe. But really, for WWE to feel like my opinion matters, I would have to have millions and millions and millions of views and millions and millions and millions of people being like, this guy knows what he's talking about, we should do it. Then I would understand if WWE wanted to take my opinion seriously. I'm just being honest. I'm not trying to bury myself, but it would be absolutely foolish for WWE to book their show based on this little tiny bubble on Twitter. And so you would be convinced, looking at Twitter the last few days, that WWE was dead. You would believe that WWE was dead, and the reality is it messes with people's mental health, which is super strange. But I get it, because I have friends who are really pissed off. And he was telling me, he's like, bro, he's like, ever since Monday, he's like, I just feel like down and sad. And I was like, well, why? And he goes, because of Vince. And I was like, listen, man, I totally get where you're coming from, but it's just a TV show at the end of the day. He's like, yeah, but you know, it's my childhood, man. I love it. I was like, okay, but the cool thing is there's other wrestling that you will enjoy. You know, it's not that big of a deal. And he watched it tonight. And guys, he said SmackDown was fire. You know what I mean? He's like, I just got to get away from Twitter. Sometimes Twitter is a little too depressing. He's like, you would really think that WWE was dead. You would really think that WWE was going bye-bye. And I don't blame it, you know? And it just goes to show you how stupid the Fire Vince thing blew up. The Fire Vince was trending, and you got people on Twitter. So this is why you can't listen to Twitter. You got people saying, Fire Vince, we're going to go to SmackDown. We bought tickets to SmackDown, and we're going to go Fire Vince chants all night. We're going to hijack the show. That's silly. That is so silly. First of all, it is silly to give a company, a multi-billion-dollar company, who, by the way, their only metric that matters is the money coming in, right? Money coming in and money coming out. That's the only metric that matters. So you're going to go give them money to chant Fire Vince. And then, by the way, we're watching SmackDown, and you don't hear those chants. You don't hear those chants. So I'm just trying to give you guys, I know it's a little bit of a rant. Maybe it's a little bit long-winded, but the reality is Twitter is not the main decider if WWE is successful. So if you're one of those dudes who are sitting there, and, you know, I was having fun with Twitter tonight. Every segment that happened on Twitter, I was just saying, thank you, Vince, 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 because it's just so silly how people will go on Twitter, and the first thing that they see is they get so invested in it. You can't do that, man. It's wrestling. And I thought tonight's show was great. Was it perfect? Fuck no. If I sat there and if I pretended it was perfect, I would sit here and tell you guys everything was perfect. Not seeing Bray Wyatt is a little bit ridiculous, you know? Not having a clear-cut opponent for Rhea Ripley is ridiculous, which Trevon State says, hey, Ango, who do you want Rhea Ripley's next opponent to be? I want it to be Zelina Vega. I don't have any hope for Zelina Vega winning, to be honest, but we got Judgment Day versus LWO. Let's keep it in the family. Let's do it. You know what I mean? I feel like that right there, that storyline is so good right now. And Santos Escobar getting pinned, I have no problem with that. Obviously, the Judgment Day are the heels. They're getting over as heels. They got the heat right now. You got to have the baby faces lose, but I think we're all going to get a fairy tale story. And then you got to keep in mind Rey Mysterio did win at WrestleMania. So there is a lot of significance behind that. And I love this. Michael said LWO needs to turn on Rey. And I think with Santos Escobar taking that pinfall, I think that's the first step to getting there. So if WWE does do that, if WWE gets to the point where LWO turns on Rey, now you have Santos and Rey Mysterio having a feud, and then you could build off of that. So that's going to be really, really cool. You know, and that was great. Drew McCohen says, hey, Ango, I have to be honest. I try not to take pro wrestling too seriously on a mental state. I love it so much, but I don't try to take it for granted. We all love it. And we all have our favorites. And we all want everybody that we like to be on TV, and we want all these things. But realistically, man, the truth is it's very difficult for that to happen. It is a TV show. There's a lot of people I love. There's a lot of people I want to see them do great things on TV, and I have to be realistic and know that's not going to happen. But I also have to realize that WWE can't just sit here and listen to Ango. Triple H, Vince, Tony Khan, they can't just sit here and be like, well, Ango said it, so we have to do it. But I think a lot of people on Twitter, to be honest, I see this. I see a lot of people on Twitter, and they sit there and they say, this sucks. Well, it's like, okay, don't give them your money. Don't watch it. Seriously, that is literally, I mean, all my OG viewers know this. I tell people all the time, just don't give them your money, because that's all that matters. That's all that matters. So for me, it's just one of those things where that's kind of how I see it. I do want to point out, I did put out a funny tweet, and it is getting a little bit of a funny reaction on social media. And I'll continue guys reading your guys' chats. I said, all right, gang, great job tonight with the Fire Vince chants. Let's all spend our money on tickets and show up Monday and do the same thing. They will really hear us next time. And it's just so funny seeing people's reaction because they think it's legitimate. So just keep that in mind. There's nothing legitimate about that. And I just want to make that clear. Obviously, I'm just having fun being sarcastic because you have to be, man. It's wrestling. Just laugh a little bit. Have some fun. A lot of great things in the stream. Tony Rodriguez says, will Finn leave Judgment Day or be forced out? I think this is a really good question. I think there could be a storyline, but we did find out he's injured. So let's wait and see once he heals from injury, and we'll kind of go from there. I think that's really the big thing. Todd Crow says, looks like Vince is running Raw and Triple H is running SmackDown. I guess we'll find out on Monday, right? If Vince McMahon is backstage on Raw and he's ripping up scripts every 5 minutes, right? We'll find out. And then if we get to next week, Friday, and then we see Vince McMahon is not there and Triple H is running it and it's a good episode, then yeah, maybe that's the case. Justin Cruz says, you're not watching Rampage, Ango? No, I'm not. There's no reason for me to. I have it on DVR, and I'd rather just stream and talk to you guys and hang out with you than watch Rampage. So I'm not a liar. When I tell you guys, if you don't want to watch something, just don't watch it. And that's me. I personally, it's nothing against AEW. I feel like Dynamite was really good the last few weeks. I just don't feel like watching Rampage right now. And I'll watch it whenever I feel like watching it. I got a very busy weekend with tons of stuff, obviously with Easter. So, you know, I celebrate it with my family. I'm going to be busy this week. I'll watch Rampage when I get to it. I'll watch Battle of the Belts when I get to it, but it's really cool. So, yeah. Chester says, Ango, is there any updates on Cody from the brutal attack from Brock? Also, will Brock be suspended without pay or fined for the double middle finger? Great question, Chester. This is actually kind of confusing for me. The reason that Brock is stupid, by the way, this was dumb. All the good things I said about WWE today, this was dumb. There might be more to the story, so keep that in mind. But on commentary, they said the reason why Brock Lesnar attacked Cody Rhodes was because Cody was in the main event of WrestleMania and Brock was not happy about opening up the show. So I don't know. I think that's a stupid reason. I hope there's more of a story to that, but as of right now, there isn't. So we'll find out eventually, but I just don't know what to expect out of that. And I do find it to be a silly, silly reason. So yeah, we'll see how that all goes down. KM Williams says, I want to see Ronda versus Ripley for a non-title match and Cross versus Solo. I'm all for those matchups. No Ronda Rousey tonight, so it looks like she is still injured. Drew McCone says, hey, Ango, have you watched AEW All Access yet? I love it. Yeah, I love All Access. I think it's a great show. I've been saying for a while, though, they should be doing a show like that, and now they are, so that's great. Chad Derryberry says, Roxy's getting drafted, in my opinion. I hope so. I definitely hope so. I think Roxy's a hell of a talent. I would love to see her on the main roster soon. Nate says, Nate, come to SummerSlam, buddy. Come to SummerSlam. Yeah, I'm trying to read all the messages, guys. It's kind of difficult, so make sure you guys keep going. If I don't answer you, you go ahead and copy and paste it. I'm not going to be mad. Just don't spam like crazy. Let's see. Trevon State says Shayna might be injured as well. Ooh, interesting. I don't know about Shayna. I knew Ronda Rousey was injured. I don't know about Shayna Baszler, but that's interesting. Carlos says, hey, Angle, who do you think will benefit the most from the upcoming draft, male and female? I think the Judgment Day should go to SmackDown for sure. And I think they could benefit a lot from being on SmackDown. They got to get away from Edge. And realistically, I'm hoping Shinsuke Nakamura gets drafted to Raw. But we'll see. I don't know exactly just yet what to expect. But I think everybody's going to benefit from it. I think you need to shake up the roster a little bit. You got guys like Bronson Reed and Lashley starting a feud. You got LA Knight and Xavier Woods starting a feud. But we need to start changing some things up. And I think once you change up the rosters, if the show is still being booked like it was today, I think it'll be really good. Dan Lutzka says, hey, Ango, do you think AEW will do a streaming service? Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that's going to happen at some point. They're still working on building up their tape library. This is why they have Battle of the Belts, and this is why they have Dynamite and All Access and all of these shows, and then they're going to have another show and another show and another show. I think they'll definitely have a streaming app, but just not yet. It'll take a while. Big MGM was answering about the people, who could benefit from the draft. MGM says Raquel Rodriguez, Is it Raquel Rodriguez or Raquel Gonzalez? Because I keep forgetting at this point. Yeah. But he also, Big MGM also mentions, if broken up, Montez Ford. Probably Ricochet. I think all three of those could benefit too. What do you think about what happened to Kevin Owens on SmackDown? Josh, that's a great question. I loved it. Storyline is good. Kevin Owens really wishes Sami Zayn would be over with the Bloodline. Sami Zayn is clearly not over with the Bloodline. Now this is getting Kevin Owens hurt. I think their tag team is going to be very, very short. I think it's going to be a very short story. I do. I think they're going to eventually split, which could be the right move to keep things fresh. Miggy says Johnny Wrestling will be great for SmackDown. I can see that as well. I would like to see the Intercontinental Championship move to Raw. I'd like to see the U.S. title move to SmackDown. We'll see what happens. Theory going to SmackDown could be great. Gunther going to Raw would be great. I don't think they'll change that, but it'll be interesting to see how that goes down. Justin Kennington dropping a $5 super chat. He says, hey, Ango, thanks for making my first Ango Mania awesome. And do you feel Matt Cardona will return at the draft? Yeah, I mean, I think there was a lot of significance with Triple H saying every single superstar is eligible. I think that's where the real surprises are. I mean, if you look at Raw and SmackDown after WrestleMania, there was no surprises other than Riddle coming back. And at that point, Riddle was on both shows. So I do think there's going to be a lot more debuts and call-ups and stuff there, which if that's the case, I'm okay with that. You know, it's supposed to be a big-time draft. It's supposed to be a big change for the draft. It's supposed to be a game changer. Let's see how much of a game changer it is. Is Triple H just being a promoter, or is he like being for real? You know, and I think that's a really good question to ask. But yeah, I think we'll see what happens, obviously. Justin, I'm glad you enjoyed Ango Mania. This has been a hell of a time. The growth on the channel has been incredible. I appreciate it. And I'll keep the uploads coming even throughout the weekend. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Thank you for the super chat, Justin Kennington. I appreciate you. We got another super chat from Jack Silverman for $1. Jack did not leave a comment with it, unfortunately. But thank you, Jack Silverman, for the super chat. Negla K says, Ango, do you think they will do the draft like back in the days with Raw and SmackDown having managers? I don't think so, but you'll never know. You'll never know. Steve says, at the draft, I want WWE Championship and Universal Championship split up. I think that's a really good point as well, and I think we're headed towards that. There's no official confirmation on that, but I could very well see that being the case. Roman Reigns getting drafted to SmackDown at the #1 pick, right? But then what it really comes down to is that he's only allowed to bring the Universal Championship. I wish you could have broken it up different ways, but that will work. I don't care. Just split up the titles, please. And if you're not going to split up the titles, then unify the belt with one championship belt, design a new one. Please, for the love of God, do it. I'd really appreciate that, WWE. Jack says he's new here. Thank you, Jack. I appreciate that. Appreciate you being new. Make sure you guys are all subscribed if you're not, because I'm going to keep you guys updated with new content. Jack says, I found you via JD. Yeah, I mean, that's great. I appreciate it. We're going to do more stuff like that in the future, so definitely stay tuned to that. What's up, Jason? Appreciate you stopping by. So many great things here. What's up, Jake the Tribal Chief? What's up, brother? Another VIP. Tons of VIP members hanging out on the channel today. Guys, if you're not a member on the channel, you could become a member very, very easily. There's 2 different levels, and we got a VIP Discord category. Excuse me. Tons of people in the chat. I'm trying to get to it all. Let's see. Let's see where we at. I'm trying to get to other people too, because I know some of you guys are repeating the same questions. Excuse me. Ooh, Sir Anthony says Finn and Rhea, SmackDown, Dom and Priest stay on Raw. I wouldn't be opposed to that if you split up the Judgment Day a little bit. I mean, that kind of helps with Finn Balor being away from the Judgment Day if you really want to split him off from the Judgment Day. I'd be okay with that. I would, at least. Eddie says, Ango, I think that they should take Roman's championships for cheating and not wrestling on Raw and SmackDown, and he should not be a champion because he can't win without help. You never know. You never know what they do. That wouldn't shock me if they did something similar to that. Maybe not to 100% of the core of that statement, but I could definitely see them doing something. Ray Parker says, Ango, who do you want to win the King and Queen of the Ring? Well, I guess it depends, right? If Gunther is still Intercontinental Champion by that point in time, I would rather see LA Knight win. If Gunther has dropped his Intercontinental Championship to Sheamus, which, by the way, I think that's the match at Backlash. It's going to be Sheamus versus Gunther. If that's the case, I would love to see LA Knight win Money in the Bank or King of the Ring. You got Karrion Kross, you got Bronson Reed, you got a couple guys, you got Johnny Gargano, you got a couple people that you could push. You got to use King of the Ring and Money in the Bank this year to push people. So don't give it to them if they're not going to actually be pushed. Let's see. Johnny says, I wish Shotzi would move to Monday Night Raw. She could probably benefit from that. You got to shake up the women's division. You got to call up some new women. You got to set up some new stuff. Today, WWE had the ballsy baddies. That was stupid. Ballsy baddies, Natalya and Shotzi. I hope that's not actually going to be their tag team name. I applaud WWE for trying to do some women tag team stuff more now every week. They are doing it every week now. So the number one thing I buried was them not utilizing women's tag teams. They are using them. We'll see how that goes. It's going to take some time to know for a fact, though. Shout out to Jay Hardwick for subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you. Sir Anthony says, of all Vince guys on Raw and all Triple H guys on SmackDown. Well, if that's the case, buddy, I ain't mad about it. But then where was Karrion Kross? You know, there was some people missing from the show. It is definitely shocking to me, and I wonder why certain people are missing from the show. If there is a complaint that I have, you know, I don't see the Good Brothers on TV. I don't see Karrion Kross right now on TV. You know, it's just, I get it. You only have so much TV time, but that's why we need the draft. We need to split up the rosters. We need to get to the point where we have a clear idea of who is doing what and where and all that good stuff. And then, you know, I don't think it would be a bad idea, to be honest, to have some people go to NXT. I think it's worked wonders for certain people to move back to NXT for a certain period of time. And, you know, I'm excited to see, what happens at that point. A lot of great things in the chat. Michael Ronquillo says, will Carmelo Hayes make his WWE main roster during the WWE draft? I don't think so, just because he became champion, but it wouldn't be a bad idea for him to get called up through the draft only to vacate the belt. You can do something like that if you want. Wouldn't be ideal, but you could do it if you needed to. Miggy says, I want Io Sky to be a solo main eventer. I hope the draft does that. You never know. It looks like Damage Control is done anyway, so you could do that. Dan Let's Go is asking, where is Bray? We were talking about this earlier. We don't know. Some people in the chat were saying he's got some health issues. Some people are saying, you know, there's a lot going on. We'll see. Really, really hard to say what's going on with him, and I don't want to speculate if it's like personal health related. Keyworks says Chad Gable to SmackDown. I'm totally with it. I totally like that idea. Clearly we got something going on with Otis joining Maximum Male Models. Love it. Hopefully we'll get some more of that on Raw. Put Chad Gable on SmackDown. I think it's great. Got to push him. Mid-card championship opportunity would be solid. So let's see what they do with that. Nate says, is this AEW showing Wembley? Wait, hold on. Is this AEW showing Wembley Stadium their biggest test? Yeah, I mean, this is AEW's biggest test for Wembley Stadium. Good luck to them. I hope they can do it. It would be really nice to see AEW sell out the stadium, 90K, 100K seats, whatever it is. I would like to see them do it. Do I think they're going to? I think they'll be close. I don't think they will 100%, but I don't think that really matters either. Amos says, what if the storyline with Otis and Maximum Male Models leads to Tucker coming back and them being a team again? You never know. I wouldn't bank on that. I think there's a lot of money with Otis being a comedy character. I just don't think that's going to be the case. Justin says, what if the US title and IC title get switched on different shows for draft? I mean, that's what I would prefer to see. I would like to see Theory bring the US title to SmackDown. This is just my preference, but I would like to see Theory on SmackDown, Gunther on Raw. I just don't think WWE is going to change that. Exercise and Freedom says, so did SmackDown look like Vince's show? No, absolutely not. Trust me, if it looked like Vince's show, I probably wouldn't be live right now. I'm not gonna lie. I swear. Like I said earlier, you may have missed it. I talked about it. My conspiracy is that Vince McMahon and Triple H have been running everything for a very, very long time. And that basically with them being involved, my whole thing was that they were involved from WWE Creative together for a while, but Vince McMahon was doing things remotely. And then what happened was on Monday, we saw that Vince McMahon was not working remotely. He was there with Triple H taking over the headset. Today, I think he's back to working remotely. So who knows? We'll see. Again, if Triple H is running creative and Vince McMahon has some influence on it, I'm okay with that. If Vince McMahon is taking the fucking books, wearing the headset all week, And on top of that, if Vince McMahon is going to sit here and talk and change a script and all of these different things backstage and create that chaos backstage, kiss your talent goodbye. They're not going to want to be there. But as you can tell, everybody's reaction from Monday to everybody's reaction today, there's a clear difference. And hopefully that's the way it is. You have to be a fool to sit here and expect Triple H and Tony Khan and everybody to book 52 weeks of perfect television. You know what I mean? You just can't do it. You're going to have bumps in the road. You're going to be a fool if you think that every week is going to be perfect. However, what happened Monday wasn't even bad booking. It was just Vince completely taking over absolutely every single detail, and I think that was a problem. And I want to talk about this. I used to work a job, and I worked there for a very, very long time, guys. And basically what ended up happening was there was a point in time where my boss would micromanage the living shit out of us. Okay? And I was in a pretty high up position. So to be micromanaged and for my staff to be micromanaged, I remember greatly thinking, what kind of results are you going to want to get? Or I'm sorry, what kind of results are you going to get by micromanaging absolutely everything? Now, if our performance was bad, then I understand micromanagement, because me as a leader, I would do the same thing if I have to, right? But you only have to micromanage when you're not getting results. And the thing is, WWE has been getting results. So why be all over it? Why break something when it's not broken? And I think I relate a little bit more to that. And I was telling my friends today, I was telling them privately, like we were talking, I was like, imagine you work for Vince McMahon and Vince McMahon is working remotely. That's fine. But if he's there and he's on the headset and he's changing the whole vibe at work, no, you wouldn't want to work there, bro. Me and my friends, we know what that's like. We've had conversations about bosses being overbearing. And the funny thing is, if you're not getting the results that you're looking for, then get rid of the people who are responsible for it. If you don't believe you're seeing change as a leader, right? It's your business. It's your money on the line. Get people out of there. Get people out of there. If you didn't think WWE was making money, get rid of those people. But WWE was clearly making money. So again, don't break what isn't broken. And I thought tonight was a major difference from Raw. And I think that's why I relate to a lot of things with the whole outrage backstage, right? If it's true, if people are really pissed, yeah. To see Vince McMahon be gone for 8 months. And again, if Vince McMahon was working remotely for the last 8 months, that's fine. But if he's there, it changes that dynamic. And I think people really, really don't like that. Falu Ndaye says Cameron Grimes getting drafted is a guarantee. I hope so. He looks great. He looks a lot beefier too these days. So perhaps maybe that's going to come with a push. Do you think Cody will beat Brock? I do. Daniel, I definitely do. I think that's part of the story. We'll see. But if Cody loses, hopefully there's something more to it. But we'll find out. Good night, Justin. Jack says SmackDown was good tonight. I agree. Justin says there should be new wrestlers for WWE to draft. Yeah, I mean, well, they said any superstar, every eligible superstar. So we'll see what happens. Maybe that's where the real surprises are. And hey, if WWE wants to start doing more surprises on the draft night every year after WrestleMania, that could be the new night where you can have surprises. I'm totally cool with that. I would not be opposed to that. And that is a possibility. I think Vince and Triple H did talk after the Raw disaster. That's my theory. Miggy, that could be a big possibility too. I mean, we don't really know. I don't think the dirt sheets know. I mean, as much as we want to think that they do know, I don't think they know. I think they're spewing. I think some people are spewing bullshit thinking that they're right. And I think some people aren't, and that's just unfortunate. Nagla K says, I would like to see Paul and Eric as general managers. I'm assuming that you're talking about Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff. I don't want to see that happen. I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I just don't want to see it happen right now. WWE, if you're going to do it, you have to be really, 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 really serious about those brand splits. And we'll see if that's true. Trevin State says they better bring up Grayson Waller. He reminds me of Edge in his prime. Yeah, I love Grayson Waller. I think he's incredible. We'll see what happens with that. I don't know, to be honest. But if he doesn't get called up, I'm okay with that because he's got a lot of great stuff happening in NXT. Mr. Wardy says, I think Big E should turn on the New Day and team up with either Omos or Lashley. I just want Big E to be healthy and recover. I don't know if he's going to be healthy or whatnot, but no. I don't want to see that. I just want to see him wrestle and be healthy. That's it. Shout out to Normal Person for subscribing to the channel. Appreciate that. Chester says, sorry to ask this, but do you think Cody will ask for his release? I said no, but I saw that from another channel. Guys, there's other YouTube channels who are posting obviously fake news. They're not even crediting, you know, listen, it's one thing if Sean or Meltzer or some of these accounts that are like really, really big on breaking news, if they get something wrong from time to time, which technically is always possible, they have a pretty good accuracy rate, depending on who you're looking at. Some of these YouTube channels are just straight up making false news and not even having sources or like talking about sources, and they're doing it with the purpose of like fighting the algorithm. And listen, we're all YouTubers. We're all trying to get clicks. We're all trying to, you know, I get it. It's for a lot of people, I understand. But just keep in mind, there's a reason why I source everything, right? If Sean Ross Sapp reports something, I credit Sean Ross Sapp. If WrestleVotes comes out with something, I credit WrestleVotes. If Give Me Sport, same thing. Meltzer, whatever. And I always tell people, these are dirt sheet reports. At the end of the day, take things with a grain of salt. But I mentioned this on my other stream. There's guys like Sean Ross Sapp, where I think he has a very, very high accuracy. He doesn't need me to endorse him, obviously. But my point is, I think there's a lot of high accuracy reports that come from Sean. So if I talk about a Sean Ross Sapp report, I feel pretty comfortable talking about it. You know what I mean? And it's really good point. Then, like I said, there's other people where maybe they don't have super high accuracy, but they're very, very notable names, and those are really, really big and really important. Shout out to Nate TV. You're taking off for the night. I appreciate you stopping by, buddy. Have a great Friday night and have a happy Easter. Appreciate you stopping by, buddy. Ramones fan 990 says new viewer, but you just got a new fan. Thank you. Ramones fan, shout out to you. Thank you for stopping by, and thank you for being a new fan. I appreciate that. That means a lot. So thank you. A lot of great things, guys, happening tonight. And yeah, Negla K, I see exactly what you're dropping, those channels, and those are I can't speak for all of them, but there are definitely some channels that you listed that are doing that. And it's this whole thing of just blatantly making up news and blatantly making up fake news to punk people out and to get the views and stuff like that's like, if that's your strategy, that's fine. But like I said, my whole goal is to create content and analysis on some of the biggest stories in wrestling. And for me, I would rather talk about the things that are coming from reliable people. And if it's somebody who may not be reliable, but he's a notable name, or they're a notable name or a notable figure in the business, I'm going to react to those things. But as always, I tell you guys, keep in mind with what I talk about, anything that is being talked about, you should take it with a grain of salt. You should. Because at the end of the day, it's not coming from WWE or AEW directly. And sometimes the things that we do talk about, by the way, do come from them directly. Sometimes WWE straight up announces it and then I'll react to it in a video. So keep that in mind. Just try to use a little bit of common sense with some of these people. I've seen videos where it's like, oh, WWE superstar fired, and it's like John Cena's been fired. And it's like, whoa, how is this a video right now? And most people who watch YouTube or do YouTube know exactly what I'm talking about. John Cena has not been fired. And then you watch the video and you get to 15 minutes of it, and for 20 seconds, there's something about, you know, all this shit. So yeah, I don't mess with that. That's not a behavior you guys will see from me. I'm personally not going to just, you know, tell you guys John Cena's fired. I'm not going to tell you guys Cody asked for his release when we know that's not the case. The best thing you guys can do is turn your attention to the channels and the outsources or the sources of people that are outsourcing great content. That's where you should direct your attention to. So yeah. Yeah, Cody definitely did not ask for his release from WWE, and the fact that's even being talked about is silly. So shout out to Shock for the subscription. Thank you guys. Very, very good night of WWE SmackDown. Super excited to see what this leads to, obviously. While I've been live, have any of you guys been watching Rampage? I don't know if maybe you guys watched it, just out of curiosity. I didn't watch Rampage tonight. Obviously, I'll watch it a little bit later at some point. But we'll see how that goes too. I don't know. Did like maybe Swerve make his announcement? I know some people were saying Swerve had an announcement. Swerve is aligning with a different group, so that's what it is. So for those who aren't watching He said that there's been a merger and he's aligning with somebody else. So that's interesting. Okay, do we know who he's with? I don't know who Swerve Strickland is aligned with. He merged with the Embassy. Is that for real? Like legit? That's legit? That's so dumb, bro. That's literally a company, by the way, that just doesn't have... That company just doesn't have any sense of direction. You start the Mogul affiliates, you try to build up Parker, Boudreaux, and Trench, and then you don't do anything with them. You try to make it look like a big deal with Rick Ross, and then you don't do it. Come on, bro. Then you're going to put him with the Embassy. Who gives a flying fuck about the Embassy? What have they done on TV to make people actually care about it? And all those guys are so talented. It's just bad booking in my opinion. But again, that's just my opinion. Don't hate me because I don't like it. That's just how I view it. A lot of potential there. I just don't think there's anything special about the booking there. That's pretty much all it means. Barry Finney says, what do you think Triple H means that it's going to change the game? I think new championship belt. I think we're going to see some surprise call-ups. I think there's going to be a lot of things. Maybe even returns to the company. I don't know. I just can't see anything different happening from... I could see a lot of things happening differently from the draft versus tonight. Because again, SmackDown after Mania, Raw after Mania, we didn't get a lot of big surprises. I think draft night is going to be the new night for surprises, and that would be ideal. That would be what I would like to see. Chester says, I am watching the main event of Rampage. Anna Jay and Julia Hart. Also, have you heard that Sky Blue is all elite? Yeah, Sky Blue is all elite. She's a great talent. She should have been all elite forever ago. She's a hell of a talent, so we'll see what happens. Albert Pons just dropped a $5 super chat. He says, yep, LOL, Swerve and the Embassy, including Prince Nana, are now a thing. SmackDown was really good, but where's Cross? Yeah, so that was my thing. Where's Cross? Probably going to see him get drafted to Raw. I mean, we'll see what happens. I don't know. That's a good question. I've already burned that. I've already been very clear on that. I think that's already a question mark for me, is where is Karrion Kross? You know what I mean? So definitely with you on that. Swerve in the Embassy just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know why you got to have him as part of the group. I don't know what you're trying to do. It just, to me, it sounds so silly, and I don't get it, man. I don't get it. I just, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't get it. Albert, thank you for the $5 super chat, bro. Appreciate you. Guys, we're going to call it a night. Only reason as to why, it's because there is a lot of things I have to get through tonight. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll have 2 videos for you guys tomorrow. And I'll even have content scheduled for Easter Sunday. If you guys celebrate Easter, I hope you have a happy Easter. I'll be around in Discord and, of course, on Twitter. So make sure you guys just check out all the links in the description. If you guys became a member today, or if you guys dropped a super chat, I just want to say thank you. This week, I mean, I was streaming for 3 hours every single day. So today I'm just calling it a little bit early, but we'll be back Monday after Raw, and then hopefully it's a good sign of things to come. A lot of great things in the chat. I appreciate you guys making it fun and everything like that. But with that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great night. Have a safe holiday, and I'll see you soon.